Good evening, everybody, and how are we all doing today? This is the Sunday, the 16th of April, 2023, and it's the Sunday Night Live show we hold every Sunday at 6 p.m. GMT, I think it is. How are we all doing today? I'm here in the podding shed as always, and today we have got quite a few videos to go through to see your plots, and hopefully that's going to cause quite a bit of discussion. Now, while I was sat here getting ready, I've realized that I haven't uploaded the grow along video, so we have done it. It just didn't show for this, so apologies for that. You'll see why I had a lot of videos to upload. First of all, let's see if anybody is out there this evening. Ballycillian is out there saying good evening, everyone. Good evening to you. Adrian is out there saying hello to me. Hello to you. Turbo Stream is out there. Good evening, Veg Podcasters. Still grey and damp in the Birminghamshire. Been beautiful here today. Absolutely beautiful. All weekend, in fact. Hope you can hear me okay. I've just realised I hadn't checked the audio. I'm sure it's going. Philly SPB is out there. Good evening to you. Idaho Garden Girl is out there as well. Good evening to you. Oracle Arts Allotment is out there. What about everyone and my friend Stuart Jackson over on the other outlet? Hoped your week has went well. I don't think Stuart is going to be here tonight. He's put a message up saying he's tied up in other ways. Idaho is saying she hit the thumbs up while waiting. Yes, please do hit that thumbs up. Gets more people, or gets the algorithm working, and more people might join in. Anna Jones is out there. Good evening to you. Evening, Gardener, she says. Hargrave Gas is out there. Evening, everyone. Hope you've had a great week. Good evening to you. Rebecca is out there. Good evening. Hope everyone's had a good week. Good evening to you. Chili Field. Good evening from all the chilies. Good evening to the chilies. Kate Spratt. Good evening, Veg Army. Good evening to you. Graham Arnold is out there. Good evening to you. Nicola Cornish Heaven. Evening, Richard and all. Good evening to you. Jenny Hallett is out there. Hello, family for tea. I'll join in later if I can. Hope you're all well. Lovely to see you anyway. Hope you are well too. Who else? Digwell is saying, don't panic. I'm here. Good, lovely to see you as always. Scott Ambler has joined. Hello to all. Good evening to you. Ballycillian is saying, Richard, the new spade is missing. Have you been putting it to use? I have been using it. It's just here actually. But yes, I have been putting it to use. Bit of a story about that, but I'll tell you about that a little bit later. Bill and Val's allotment is here. Hi, all. Been lovely weekend on the plot. It has been, hasn't it? Absolutely beautiful here. Lovely, lovely, lovely weather, to say the least. Well, I think, yeah, we're caught in. Oracle says, new shade. There is weapons of mass destructions on them racks. I've got to have a tidy up behind there one day. Now, my new spade, yes, I've been putting that to use. It's been really good, actually, especially for things like chopping off the roots of what they call blackberry runners and what have you. Really good for that. But I was using my hoe yesterday, and I'd broken my hoe. The shaft snapped, so I have got to look at getting that replaced at some point. Anyway, let's get on with the show. Lots of people saying that hello to. Please do let us know if you are first time joining us. Please do leave a comment and join in. I haven't got a phone line today, but you can zap in if I pop the link up. If you want to zap in, then please do. But first of all, we are going to be looking at people's plots today, and I have made a very quick video. I'll be honest, very shaky, but I thought I'd take you on a bit of a tour of my allotment, and that will get things kicked off. Guys, I'm going to do a very quick tour of my allotments. We're starting at the very top here. This area is the difficult to keep area where fruit bushes and things have always been problematic. We have been laying down some cardboard and wood mulch where we can in order to try and tackle it this year. Hopefully this year will be the year we get on top of it. got a couple of cabbages in there, which are delicious, but these 3 beds are going to be the brassica beds this year, with another 2 beds being built alongside in a few weeks' time. Onions in here. This is a hugelkultur bed. Onions are doing really well. We've actually just started mulching those with a bit of grass. In this bed, purple sprouting broccoli is going in here, or it has been growing in here, which is coming out, and then we're putting in some onion seedlings that I have at home. And this bed is garlic, which is doing really well, it's got to be said. Starting to get some signs of leek rust, but we'll soon deal with that as and when. Asparagus bed is just covered in weeds for some reason this year. I'm tackling it as best as I can, but I've got to get down the seafront to get a load of seaweed. These 3 beds, again, couch grass is really coming back hard this year for some reason, and I've been running the hoe through them this year. Broad beans are in this one, this middle one, which are slowly starting to grow nicely, but couch grass is also preventing it from growing. Then these 3 beds here, or 4 beds actually, are potatoes. Again, you can see the couch grass has grown, but the hope is that potatoes will outshine the couch grass. Still got to complete that bed, and Tim's greenhouse, which is this one here, that is still needing a lot more glass, which is proving difficult to get hold of. But as cucumbers going in there this year, it shouldn't be too much of a difficult. And then this one is Tim's greenhouse, which yeah, it's up and running. I'm going to get my tomatoes in here during the week. So everything is moving along nicely, just making use of different areas. I'm going to be moving that shed soon over to that scruffy corner area once I get rid of all this broken glass. So there we go, guys. Not a great look, I know, but that's a quick tour of my allotment for you. Oh, I'll remember the right buttons. So yeah, the very quick tour. Sorry about the shaky camera work on that one, but I thought I'll shoot it just to get it going. I haven't done one on my home plot because I'm hoping to do that next weekend. So keep your eye on the YouTube channel, Facebook page to keep an eye on that. Should add, I don't know about anybody else, we had a bit of a storm come through. Just checking I've taken myself off mute. Had a bit of a storm come through the other earlier this week, and luckily it wasn't too bad. A couple of panel glass broken, but nothing too bad. The biggest problem, so far this year, is the weeds really are kicking off with a vengeance, particularly the buttercup, the creeping buttercup, and the couch grass. I don't know if anybody else is finding that at the moment. Scott is saying couch grass bad for me too this year. It really is coming back with a vengeance. I got on top of it last year, but it seems to come back bad this year. I'm hoping if we carry on with it throughout this next year, or we'll be able to keep on top of it in the beginning, we should get it through. Alison O'Brien has joined. Evening all. Good evening to you. And Rebecca Hawkins. I recorded mine today. Sorry, didn't get enough time to get it off to you. No worries. You can send it in for next week. That would be great because it gives us a video for next week. Easiest way to send me videos to head to wetransfer.com and send it to richard@theveggroundpodcast.co.uk. Just makes it easier for sending large files to use wetransfer.com. Having troubles with my words tonight. Andrew Norris has joined. Evening all. Good evening to you. Hope you are well and everything is going well in Croatia. Turbo Stream. We had strong winds in the middle of this week and plenty of rain. Still not done much on the plot this week as a result. Yeah, exactly the same here. I was saying, so when the weather's good, I try and go down to the allotment every evening on the way home from work. And I just find that works really well at keeping on top of weeds, keeping on top of those silly little jobs. But when it's been bad weather, like we've had, it's not been so easy. Thing with weeds, I find that if we can keep on top of it, doing 20 minutes every day, for example, it goes a long way on really tackling the weeds. And what I mean by 20 minutes is that I start at one corner and I'll do weeding for 20 minutes and then I call it a day. I get bored easy. But when I come back the following day, same sort of thing. I start in that same corner, but as I've done it the day before, I can work further forward. And 20 minutes each day, I mean, that's an hour a week on Monday to Friday. Soon get on top of those weeds. Andrew Norris said we've had a week. I can't get my words out today. We've had a week of rain. I fear when I get back to the village on Wednesday, the grass will have taken over. Yeah, grass has been growing actually. Lawnmower has been mulching up a little and trying to cut it, but not doing too bad. Now, Digwell says not too many weeds with the no dig plot. I mean, I do practice no dig myself, but even then, it's if you can produce enough compost. The asparagus bed, I actually mulched with a good thick layer of compost, but weeds, I mean, a week later, it was covered in that creeping buttercup. So, yeah, I agree. No dig does work, but it is challenging on my allotment with couch grass and creeping buttercup. You've got to be on top of it every day. Turbo Stream says, I was glad I did my plot prep in autumn. Mulch over winter seems to have worked a treat. There we go. That's what I want to hear. In fact, the brassica beds are still covered as well. So that is going to be a good one. Now, I've got another video that has come in, funnily enough. I won't tell you who it is. You work it out and share what you think.
Good evening, Veg podcasters. It's Adrian at Turbo Stream. This is my April 2023 plot tour. So we've got a nice sunny day. It's Thursday. I'm recording this on. It's very, very windy and cold. Anyway, let's get on with it. So we'll start off with my flower bed. And you can see I've got a few spring flowers coming up now. Daffodils and tulips. And we've got a few of these little pink spring flowers. I can't think of the name. Got some big knots down there. Primroses, that's one word I'm looking for. So that basically extends all the way across to there. I think this square will be used for butternut squash at some point, I suppose. I'm not totally decided. It's a bit of an unused square. Anyway, that's the square. And this is the main kind of growing square I've got. So this is my winter onion bed. I'm not so I can do this properly. I'll put these in when was it, October. These are doing quite well actually. Got a few rows there. So I'm quite pleased with those. I don't know when they'll be ready. And then I've got a bit of spare ground just in front of that, which I'll put something in, no doubt. And then we'll go on to the other parts of this bed. And this is my little brassica cage I've made out of some Enviromesh and some canes and some old bottles. And I'm quite pleased to see that the slugs haven't had them. It's hard to see through this mesh, but they're all doing okay. I've got 3 rows. I think I've got a row of cabbage and 2 rows of cauliflowers. On the bed next to it will be beans, I think. I've got the wheat growing there ready for the peas, which I'm about to sow. And then a bit further up, I've got 3 rows of broad beans, which aren't showing up yet, but they always come good in the end. It's sown towards the end of March, and then they come up a few weeks later, and they always do well. And then just under this cage is 2 rows of King Edward potatoes. The cage is there to stop the foxes digging. And then next to that I've got a couple of leeks which I've gone to seed, I think. They were left over. And this was another patch which I've undecided. I've no doubt I'll stick something in there. A couple of bare patches which need a bit of weeding. And behind there is the fruit bed. This is a lot of gooseberries. I can see there's a few flowers coming on there, so hopefully those will do. And underneath the gooseberries I've got strawberries, or the sun's come out so you can't really see now. And then I've got a patch of rhubarb there. That I transplanted, actually divided it. It wasn't rhubarb there before. So that's doing okay. I gave that a rest last year. I think I planted the year before, the winter before, probably. And then I've got some other fruit beds here. I've got some more gooseberries, red currants, which I all took cuttings off because the old plant was getting past it. I've got some more gooseberries and black currants. I don't know if you can see, probably can't see them here, but you've got some buds, little red buds, just there. And they're just going to start, hopefully the flowers will come out, but hope you don't get any frosts. And this is another bed I've started to plant. This is full of onions I grew from seed, white onions. They're starting to perk up now. Unfortunately I planted them out just before we had a really cold spell. I planted them before Easter, and then this week we've had a really cold driving rain and wind, so I'm amazed those are still alive, to be honest. And then I'll put in other rows of stuffed tomatoes, probably beetroot and things like that down the row. And then as we go across, we've got another bed which was going to be parsnips. I've still got some field beans that just 2 or 3 have made it through the winter, so I'm not sure what I'll put in there. And behind there we've got the raspberries that my friend planted before he died. He never got to see any benefit of those. They just started to poke up, autumn raspberries. Another little patch here, and then my little seabed. Which is basically just a wooden frame with a piece of environment mesh over the top, with a kind of, you know, like a lid. And I've got some things growing in there, but nothing's come up yet. It's too cold, so they'll come up when they come up. Hopefully the environment mesh keeps the bugs out. It also enables the rain to go through, and it gives you a bit of protection. So that is my seabed. So there you go. That is Adrian's Turbo Streams plot tour for April 2023.
There we go. Adrian's plot tour for 2023 in April. Looks fantastic, doesn't it? I don't know about anybody else, but I'm feeling at the moment it's these gardens are just waiting to spring into life. A lot of fruit bushes are showing themselves early, rhubarb particularly early. I meant to ask if anybody has ever done forced rhubarb. Got a video coming out this week, and you'll hear it on the podcast. I forced my first rhubarb, absolutely delicious. And watching that from Turbo Stream, I was reminded of the rhubarb. Added to that, I want to ask, how is the seedbed proving, or how is it working? This is something I know we've discussed quite a bit, and I've even made my own seedbed from it. So it's good to see your one as well. Turbo Stream, thank you very much. So Scott Ambler is saying no dig here, and it's much better than a bit of my plot that isn't no dig. Couch grass and bindweed are always a pain. Yeah, couch grass on my plot is a real pain. We're getting there. We are getting there with it. It's just a case of giving it, keeping it covered up and doing the best to tackle it. This is something I know a lot of people do struggle with. And I also know people who were on my plot before I took it on gave up because of couch grass. Andrew Norris is saying to Turbo, enjoying your video. Yes, plant squash. Squash and ginger soup is the best ever. What type of squash would you recommend, Andrew? I'm all full of squash. In fact, I've had some seeds turn up this week that are the shark fin melon seeds have turned up, so I'm going to be sowing those pretty soon and getting those into, well, once I speak to Ian, we'll get those down onto his garden or his field and see how they get on. Idaho says to Turbo Stream, you have a very nice allotment and fantastic. And Anna Jones says fantastic plot, no weeds. Turbo Stream says just need to keep it tidy this year, which Idaho says I struggle with that too, but I will do better this year. I think that's always a plan, isn't it? We always try and plan to get that little bit better. Digwell says, nice one, Adrian, fantastic. And Turbo Stream, spring is yet to arrive in Birmingham. I think, you know, I'm not only judging it on here or what I see down here. We got such beautiful weather this weekend. Flowers are either out or starting to go. My pear tree is in beautiful foliage or flowers. Just such a good time of year, I feel. Idaho says, I have not forced rhubarb. If you can force rhubarb, just £1 for once a year, it's well worth it based on what I've tested so far. It's so much tender, so much nicer. Absolutely lovely. TurboStream says, last year the seed bed worked a treat. I can recommend it to anyone without a greenhouse. Fantastic. Fantastic. This is the type of thing I think we need to share a bit more about the seed beds for those who don't have a greenhouse or anything. Different ideas on how to do that. TurboStream says, I sowed spring onions, radish, lupins, and leeks in it so far. Fantastic. That's great to see. Speaking of Ian McCracken, I have my flail mower at the ready for the Triffid melons then. Fantastic. I will sow those seeds this week, and then I'll arrange with you in the next few weeks that we perhaps look at coming over and get them out into the garden, into your field. Nigel Money Roots says, a nice plot, Turbo. It is nice, isn't it? This is what we want to see. All these, the good and the bad. I want to see everybody's plots this week, so it's always good to see these. I think we are about 2 weeks behind the sunny tropical south coast, or are we 2 weeks ahead? There we go. We are lucky on the south coast, so yeah. Digwell says, Digwell, forcing rhubarb gives you a few early stalks. Leaving it gives you loads of stalks. I agree. That's definitely very, very true. But the stalks that we do get from the forced rhubarb are so much nicer than normal. And I love rhubarb, but so much nicer. So you can eat. In the video, I eat a stalk, and I literally, it dissolves in my mouth. It's so tender. So much. Oh, the difference is pretty astounding. So highly recommend, if you can, then go and do it. Kate says, amazing plot, Turbo. Indeed, it is an absolutely lovely plot. So it's, as I said, it's good to see these. Turbo Stream, the main advantage of a seed bed is the seeds will come up when they are ready. No gardening off, less compost, etc., etc. Well, as you know, I built mine out of a plastic container to go in the greenhouse, and actually it is proving pretty good. I've got to say, I'm able to sow a lot more seeds and recycle them a bit more as well. In it, I've sown tomatoes and celery. I've pricked out a load of celery this week as well. I've been sowing, we've been in the veggie pods, been harvesting lots of radishes lately, and been sowed another load of radishes, getting loads and loads of stuff coming at the moment. Absolutely fantastic. Scott says, good looking plot, Turbo, and Turbo Stream says, thanks to everyone. Indeed, a lovely, lovely plot. Who wants another video? Let's go for this one, I think. I don't know who this is, so let's find out.
Yeah, Stuart Jackson's veggie pod, a few cabbage plants and a couple of cauliflower plants, and there's some spring onions and some herbs, and my little veg patch, my fruit raspberry canes, garlic, some more cabbages, some leeks, celery that's been growing all through the winter, rhubarb doing really well, the board beans that everybody told me to put in the ground because they were getting a bit leggy, and then obviously my greenhouse, and then my bed that I bring all my plants on for my plant sales. That's the end of me. See you all soon.
Short and sweet, but what a great looking plot. Still lots going on in that little video too. Lots of flowers as well. As we know, Stuart Jackson, I said he's not here tonight, but he's here with us in spirit. But yeah, lots of colour. I saw lots of colour in that. The veggie pod, I mean, I'm a big fan of the veggie pod, as you know. They do perform really well for growing a lot of stuff in. I think anyway. Now, we were talking about forcing rhubarb just now, and Digwell saying, is it 1 in 3 years that you can force rhubarb without harming the plant? Yeah, about 1 in 3, I would say. It saps a lot of the energy out of the rhubarb, so you don't want to do it too often. But I mean, I've got plenty of rhubarb crowns, so I'm doing my best to try and keep the rhubarb in use all year round, or as much as I can, and just forcing it just, I feel, gives it a bit of a struggle for a year, but it'll probably come back better than ever next year. Turbo Stream says, great plot, Stuart. And Digwell says, nice, Stuart. Sorry, I missed your last plant sale. As I said, he's not here today, but I'm sure he can watch on catch up and find out. Amanda has joined. Evening all. Sorry I'm late. Not a problem. Lovely to see you. We are looking at people's allotments, their veggie gardens today, and seeing what is going on. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up, a like, follow, subscribe, and all that, especially if you want to see more of these plots. And as I said, if anybody does ever want to send in a video, anytime, you are always welcome to. We can play it on this anytime. I do prefer them in landscape, but we can work with whatever you have. Just send them over to me. Richard@theveggiegrowpodcast.co.uk is my email. Easier to do through wetransfer.com. But if you need any help, just email me and I will share that. Scott says, I have wondered how they force it in the rhubarb triangle year on year. Guess they have to change the plants every few years. I think they do, yes. They probably do. They also bring them into big old sheds to do the forcing throughout the winter. They're lucky enough to be able to do that, is all I can say. But I tell you what, since forcing I'm going to be trying it a bit more often. I certainly, some of my rhubarb, it gets really, really big. You're meant to split the rhubarb after 5 years, I know. But I've just got a feeling that if I force it every 3 years, it might help keep it in check for a little bit. Might be wrong on that. Just a theory. We will see how it goes. Oracle says Stuart needs an allotment so he can expand. Yeah. I don't think he's got the time for the allotment, to be fair, but he does need to expand. He's got a kids' school garden. I think that would have been great to see as well. The kids' school garden. May not be allowed to show it thinking about it, but that would be something great to see in the future, wouldn't it be? The school garden. And Idaho says, very nice, Stuart. Indeed. Another very nice one indeed. So I have got 1, 2, 3 more plot videos to share with you. I've got a couple of videos of something a bit special, as well as your photos. So we get on and let's have another video.
Now, let's get these lids off. What do we see? Can you see? These tomatoes along here are Brad's Atomic Grape. These are Moneymaker. And these were sowed later. These are Paul Robson's. And these chilies has to be potted on today. And probably can't see, but at the back there's aubergines. Now here we have, I'll lift them out. That's my sprouting broccoli. Purple sprouting broccoli. And here I have another sowing of peas. These were Brussels sprouts that I sowed earlier on. These are a blue cant pea, never grown them before. Bill and Val kept me right with these. And then these tomatoes in here are Tiny Tims, they call them. They're from a hanging basket. Don't grow that big, and loads of wee cherry tomatoes on them. And then just other thing, what have I sowed here? That's more cabbages, lettuce and potato squash. Just various things keep us going. That's my first sowing of leeks, and obviously my second sowing hasn't germinated yet. We'll move into the other polytunnel. This polytunnel is mainly for my tomatoes and sweet corn, but obviously as there's nothing planted yet, we just try to use the area until these things are ready. A few scallions. Along this row, a row of carrots. Some strawberry plants for early strawberries. And I'll lift the net here to give you a better look. An early crop of potatoes, put a few buckets in. These will all be out by the time the sweet corn's ready to come in. And just a couple of wee pots of radishes. Just something to grow while the ground's bare. So Richard, that's my...
I cut off a bit quick there. Sorry, I don't know what happened there. That wasn't me. Great plot. Great plot. So much growth going on in that. I mean, it was a polytunnel, I'm guessing. Was there heat in there? That was from I think it was Ballycillian and Philly SBB whose plot that is. So neat and tidy. I'm always amazed at that. Just because I'm not a neat and tidy person. But what a lovely organised plot. Got to say, it's so much growth. But I've got to ask, do you have the tomatoes particularly, are they in a heated propagator or anything? I'm asking because I'm really trying to improve everything here at the Veg Grower Podcast HQ. Ian says, as I said, we're going to be growing shark fin melon, and he's kindly allowed us use of his field to grow it. He says, I will have to do an overnighter in the field, and I will take you to Harry Dobson's from the Victorian Kitchen Garden. It's not far from me. Yeah, we'll sort something out. That sounds good. Moneyboot says, why not divide your rhubarb into 3 and then force each plant on a rotation? Me personally, I don't know if that's for me or anybody else. Personally, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rhubarb crowns plus about 30 rhubarb seedlings at the moment. I've not got a problem of lack of rhubarb. Personally, in fact, I'll probably grow too much rhubarb, but it's one thing that each year we always have plenty of and we never run out of. Self-sufficiency on rhubarb is easy in many ways. Ballycillian, fully area. Stuart he grows plenty and makes loads of money for charity. Exactly right. Great plot. I have flowering strawberries. Flowering out strawberries outside. That is very good. I've got flowering strawberries in the greenhouse in hanging baskets. Got strawberry plants in hanging baskets. They're flowering. But outside, that is impressive. That's a good sign, though, isn't it? Very good sign. What a lovely, well-organised plot, says Amanda. Fantastic. Yeah. What a really lovely organised plot. We really do need to see more of it, guys. I love seeing your plot. Ballycillian, yes, polytunnel, no heat. Fantastic. That's given me hype. That's given me a lot of hype. Digwell says, great tomatoes. Mine are growing well now. Just sold the first load. Woohoo. I whistled there. Yeah. My tomato, I've potted up my tomatoes this weekend, funny enough. They're still a little bit leggy for my liking, but they are getting there. They're definitely growing, and hopefully they're going to grow better and better as the week goes on. Turbo Extreme says, such a well-ordered plot, Bally. Love it. Indeed, it is a lovely plot. Ballycillian says, grow them in cold frames inside a polytunnel, sort of double glazing. Excellent. I'm looking to get a greenhouse shed next year, so I'm taking these ideas on board. Yeah, I know, another greenhouse. Scott says, wow, great plot, polytunnel packed Lots of things growing lovely to see. Absolutely. Absolutely lovely to see. Anna says, great plot. Muddy Boot says, super plot, Bally. Idaho says, very nice cold frames. Turbo Stream says, my Digwell tomatoes are only just showing through, will be grown outside. Idaho says, oh, wow, these plants look so good. And Katie, John, Rambo, McDonald, absolutely fantastic plot. We just gave ours up. The committee were very awkward and political. Has anyone else had issues with allotment committees? I think a few people have. I haven't personally, but I know somebody. I was chatting last weekend, and there's a lot of argument between two people going on our plot allotment. So I know what you're talking about. There are things that go on. Hargrave Gas. I have a single flower on one of my outside strawberries, but the rest of the plants look a bit worse for wear. It's still early, isn't it? It's still early, but there's still time. I'm really excited for this season. I've got to say, I say it every year, but this year I'm feeling incredibly excited. Digwell says, all of my tomatoes are grown outside once in their final pots, etc. I've got to grow a few in my greenhouse because of blight, purely for that reason. But yeah, excellent. Nigel says, no problem with a committee on our side because I am the secretary. I'm sure there are people, I'm sure there are lots of people who have had trouble with well, we know we have. I've had many discussions and what have you, and it's difficult, I think, for the committee and for the people involved to get it just right. I think, in my opinion, it's certainly not a job that I would want myself. All right, that's keep them comments coming. Which one was that? So, right, I think, yeah, we've got 2 more plot videos to go. Which, yeah, let's get into it.
I think the weather's going to beat me. That's a rainstorm coming in, so I better rush this. Right, Digwell Green Fingers, plot 26. What have we got in there? Cauliflower, North Foreland, doing very well. Broccoli Claret, yeah, that's coming on, liking that. Main crop potatoes in the buckets, has pink fir apple this side. Herbostella, growing from last year and the year before. It's not bad in a salad, but you wouldn't want all of it. It's alright to mix with the rest of your greens, you know what I mean. Onion Troy at the front, and elephant garlic, 5 elephant garlic there. Tomato bed's nearly ready. Got an onion left from last year. What's that there? I don't know what that is, can't remember now. Garlic. Turn my sheet over. That's the Marco soft neck. Just planted these now. We have Red Bull, Green Marble, Olaf and Brody Brussels interplanted with turnip, Milan purple top and Norfolk green. There we are. Broad beans, just put those in as well. 2 types there, crimson flowered at that end and exhibition long pod this end. The runner beans ready to go soon. Shan't be sowing those till May. I got to put this new frame up here for the other climber's frame, which is going here. It's a bit bright silver, but it'd be alright. Black currants, leafing up nicely. Got a bit more wood chip there. This is the wild area at the bottom, and I'm going to put some wildflower seeds in there again, just for the wildlife. Digwell Lakes overflowing, there's loads of tadpoles in there. You might see a couple of them with that plant pot in the centre, look. They have good days and bad days. Some days they come up, some days they don't. Rhubarb, just cut the flowers off the rhubarb. It does it every year. Most people do it up here. That one there, that's flowering as well. There's not, yeah, that one pan you around slowly. That one there is flowering as well, and this rain's coming in. Spare bed here. Just some brassicas from last year. I'll be lifting those soon. Spare bed, spare bed. A couple of onions or leeks left from last year. What we got in here then? We got onion shensu interplanted with cabbage spring hero. If I can get past Harry the Hawkeye, keep moving him, he's blowing over. I think he's a bit worse for wear now, look. He's, yeah, done his job. Now, I'm pretty sure this is broadleaf parsley, but I can't remember. I'll tell you what, so... I don't know what it is. Anyway, I'm going to clear this bed ready. What have we got here then? Right, garlic chestnut white, that's the autumn sown ones at the front here. And further down, where not a sausage is poking out yet, are the ones that I stored in the freezer over winter. I thought they'd be up by now. See little bits of plastic everywhere. A little bit of green there, a little bit of white over there, blue. That's all of a bag of compost I tipped over there. Cabbage rigoletto, Savoy one, lovely, my favourites. And the trespass has been prosecuted. An onion Stuttgarter with poached eggplants growing like mad. And I've got an apple tree to go in, that is L Star. 12 quid from Tesco. And there's plenty of apple trees around here, all interplanted down between the plots. There's apple trees everywhere, well, fruit trees, there's loads of apples. I'm taking the rest of those home now. As you can see by the leaves moving, the wind's picking up. I want to get a net on those recently planted brassicas as soon as I can, and I'm off. So, well, that's the plot tour, guys. Yeah, you see the wind. Look, Harry the Hawkeye's going 10 to the dozen now. Catch you soon. Well, I didn't make it. I am soaked. Oh dear. The things I do for you guys. Look at it. Well, that's it, guys. I'm home now. Absolutely soaked. My car's going to be steamed up for days now.
Oh dear, yeah, nothing worse than the bad weather coming through, right, when you're trying to garden, isn't there? At least you were able to get home. I've done it when I'm working on a rooftop personally, and it got caught in the rain, and that was first thing in the morning. I spent all day in wet clothes. Lovely, lovely plot there, Digwell. Really, really lovely. So much going on as well. So many things are growing. Kate Spritz says, my tomatoes are coming on well, which was fab because a lady put out an SOS for any spare tomatoes as hers had failed. And she uses them on a mother and baby ward at a local hospital. So I agree her. I gave her some, I think that is meant to be. Nigel says, growing tomatoes both inside and out, but I think outdoors tomatoes give better flavour for me. I agree, actually. I think they give better flavour. I think they're not so, what's the word I'm looking for? Not so dry flavour, I think. Turbo Extreme says, our allotment committees are really good. All they care is that you are working the land. Yeah, ours can be a bit funny. When I was in Brighton, they were pretty much left to your own devices. Dig well, not with committee, but with plot holders. I was almost ostracised for being no dig. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what goes on in some places. Idaho says, I love to see how each plot is arranged. I do. This is why I like doing these plot tour videos and seeing everybody's allotments, just to get some ideas and see how everyone is arranging it themselves. I joined your allotment committee and quickly noped right out of there. Very political and catty. Not my thing. Yeah, that's what puts me off as well. Kate is liking Digwell's ponds. I've been given a go-ahead for mine, so happy for any tips. There you go, Digwell. Some tips for ponds. Nicholas says, I have a pond with about 20 years of silt. There's very little clear water. Have a triffid lily. There we go. Nigel says, nice one, Steve. One of the neatest no-dig I've seen. Yeah, absolutely. Another brilliant plot, Digwell. There is a bit of influence from Dursley on my pot. Look, there we go. And a lovely looking plot. Did I spot a wolf garden? And Digwell says, yes, love the stuff. Digwell also says to Nigel, cheers, no rest in the beds for winter, really. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I try not to. My allotment, I feel I have to rest the beds over winter to a certain extent. But my home plot, I tend to try and use more over the winter, just because this hard clay soil makes the allotment very difficult to get to. At home, it's a bit easier. Scott says, love the pond, Digwell. Does every plot on your site have its own water supply? Question for you, Digwell. Does every plot on its site have its own water supply? Amazing things happen in your plot, Digwell, and he gives a smiley face as well. Yeah, a beautiful plot again, and such good amount of vegetables growing. That really impressed me. Nice wood chip paths, which are coming. I've seen more and more people. Excuse me, sorry. More and more people are going on to these wood chip paths these days, which I did many years ago, but got rid of, preferring to go back. Oh, excuse me, hiccups now as well. Preferring to go back to grass paths and just mowing them on a regular basis. But we've had a load of wood chip delivered to our allotment. I'm not sure if I'm allowed to use it or not. I'm hoping I can, because I want to throw some around my fruit trees and bushes to make the most of it. But I've also seen we've got a Facebook group for our allotment site. I don't know if anybody else's allotment has this. A Facebook group for our allotment site, and somebody up there has just said, yeah, we've got some wood chip, please come and help yourself. So tomorrow, guess what I'm going to do before I come home? Love wood chip. Love wood chip. It's great for mulching around. You know that, I think when I showed you at the beginning of my allotment video, that top bit of a plot with all the cardboard, and I'm going to put wood chip on top of that cardboard to try and suppress those weeds. But yeah, please do share some love for that plot. As I said, always good to see. I have got one more video coming up. I think this is, there's no audio or no speaking on this one, I believe. The person who sent it over was a little bit shy, so please do share a lot of love for this and get more people encouraged to share their plots. Fantastic. What a lovely looking plot. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. Lovely looking plot. I'll share who that was. That was Scott Ambler. That's me, not one for being on or talking on camera. Don't be afraid of it. You'll be surprised how receptive people suddenly become. I was terrified of it when I began, I'll be honest. But once you start doing it, you really have nothing to worry about. And with a plot like yours, people want to see it. So please do keep sending those photos in. I've managed to see, because I've seen Scott has been posting pictures in our Facebook group, and now I've seen the size that you've got. It's a big old, is it an allotment or a garden? I think allotment, isn't it? It's nice to see that and get some scale. Really a lot of love going up for that as well. So Kate says, wonderful layout. Nicola says, well, a lovely, neat, tidy plot ready for growing. Digwell says, love it, really tidy. Idaho, very nice. Idaho also says, this is a huge plot. Turbo, another nice looking plot. Nice big plot, Scott, from Hargrave Gas. Nigel says, that is a long plot. I would hate working down the bottom and realise I've left the tools at the opposite end. Yes, I know exactly how you feel that. Nicholas says, if you put plastic bottles on top of a wood post before the net, it helps reduce the damage to the net. Yeah, good advice there. But great little video. That's actually the last plot video I think we've got today. But he also sent me over a couple of videos. Bit of fun, something I've thought about. Let's play these.
And he's going round again.
There we go. I think we actually heard his voice on the camera there. So it just goes to show, nothing to worry about. Absolutely fantastic. Fantastic. Now, I wanted to share that train video, actually, because one, I thought that was fantastic. Just a lot of fun. And it's something I've often toyed with. I remember near my grandparents' house in West Sussex, as we went up their road, there was a bloke there who had a train in his garden as well. And I always remember that would be a great thing to do in any garden as I grow up. I've never done it, but the idea of having a train run round and perhaps bring your tools to you or something is something that I just really like to be a bit of fun. As Nigel says, I want one. Yeah. Love the train. And Kate says, oh my God, I want a train on the plot now. Train envy. And this is very fun. Yeah, absolutely. What a lot of fun, I've got to say. Now, I mentioned my grandparents. We've still got plenty of time for this week's show. But next week, the topic is going to take a bit of a different direction, I feel. Hopefully people are going to like this. Next Sunday, it's the 23rd of April, St. George's Day. It's my birthday, and it would also be my nan's birthday. And I wanted to get everybody to share their stories or their memories of gardening with their grandparents next week. Hope that's going to be something that interests you. I think it's something that we've often discussed, and I feel next week is the week to really tackle that. So, memories of your gardening with your grandparents. Rebecca says, such lovely plots from everyone. Really enjoying watching them. Yeah, I'm really enjoying seeing these. As I said, we really need more of these, because this is what this show is all about, being able to see what everyone's doing and share what everyone is doing. Digwell says to Scott, I have shown a few, not for the camera people on my channel, and they are now YouTube creators. So there you go. Have I missed any comments before that? This one from Nigel. I run a WhatsApp group for our site and use it for manure wood chip deliveries, also any repairs being done. I think it's great. You know, we have a Facebook site which is for all our allotments in Littlehampton. But when we got broken into a few weeks ago, that was all shared on there. I mean, it's not ideal, don't get me wrong, but it's such a great way. And people are often giving away bits and pieces as well. So Facebook group really does work, or a WhatsApp group for an allotment site and keeping track of everything. So, yeah, Turbo Stream says plenty of space for melons. Oops, I said the M word. Yeah, the M word makes me go like a childish teenager. So actually, melons are started. When was it? 2 weeks ago we sowed the melons. They're starting to show themselves at the moment. So we're doing well with the melons. Scott says, thanks. Oh, it's 2 plots, but it is very big, but not the biggest on our site. Wow. It's a good size though. I've got to say it's a good size. I always think the bigger, the better sometimes, if you can cope with it, and you clearly can cope with it. Kate says, that's how you get tools from one end to the another on a train. Yeah, that's exactly what I would want to do when the postman comes and delivers your post in a train and brings it, and it comes up to your house. Nigel says, amazing how many allotments are next to a railway line, mine included. Mine is as well, funny enough. You don't always see it because it's behind some trees, but there is a railway line. I believe I was going to say there's probably a historical reason for it, but I don't think that's actually true. It's Nicola's birthday on Thursday, the 20th. So remember that, everyone. Kate says, funny you say that, Nigel. Mine is also near a train track. I think a lot of people's are near a train track. Nicola says, my place is way too messy after seeing these. No, it's not. People want to see it as well. No allotment is very, very or perfectly tidy or anything like that. People want to see the messy plots as well, because I believe it shows what an allotment is like. I do sometimes get embarrassed, but I still show it. So I believe, life gets in the way. We can't all be neat and tidy on the allotment all the time. So life does get in the way. Mess does happen. What a lovely topic for next week. I look forward to it. Would love to share some photos for that. Please do. That was Amanda. Please do, Amanda. Photos, Richard at the veggiegrowpodcast.co.uk. That would be great. David Williams has joined saying, hi all. Hello to you. Turbo Stream says, I can hear trains if the wind blows in the right direction. Very occasionally I can smell a chocolate from a Cadbury factory in Bourneville. Doesn't the Cadbury factory have a train as well, doesn't it? Or am I... No, I'm thinking of a Lego factory. I could be wrong, but yeah, let me know. Kate says, her melons are a good size now. You're going to trip me up, aren't you? You're going to try and trip me up or start getting me giggle like a little girl. David Williams, a railway line actually goes under our plots. Wow. That's amazing. Chili Kate, I wish that we had a Facebook group, but most of the people are much older. I would host it myself, but I have seen too many people being negative about how our site is run. Give it a try is what I would say, Chili Kate. Give it a try. If people don't, but if you can make your own Facebook group, it's pretty easy. Admin it yourself and try and keep it to positive messages. Then positivity breeds positivity is my belief. So try it. Just try it. You got nothing to lose. Scott Ambler says, I need to get going from one end to the other end to transport tools. Good tour idea. Yeah, absolutely. The train. Everyone loves the train. In history, the land next to the lines was owned by railway companies, and they allocated it to workers for growing. They used to build the houses as well, didn't they? Along the railway workers' houses was alongside the railway lines as well. So it makes sense. It does make a lot of sense. In fact, I know lots of things that the train companies used to do as well. Amazing what goes on in underneath train platforms. I'll leave it like that. There used to be 22 allotment sites in my village for now. Yeah, it is a shame when that happens. People want allotments. This is what annoys me. People want allotments, but long waiting lists, and developers needing land to build houses, something's got to give somewhere. Nothing to be embarrassed about here. We are all gardeners, and gardening gets messy at times. Yeah, I agree. I agree. And that's definitely the case for me. So, yeah. Jim M says, there is a reason, Richard. Councils put allotments where houses aren't or weren't wanted. Train tracks, floodplains, etc. Yeah, that makes sense. That does make sense. I mean, people want allotments. You know, allotments, I believe, are such an important piece of the local environment. You know, they're a breeding ground for nature and wildlife. So I think that anywhere where you can fit allotments in is going to be a good thing. And even if it is the worst possible places, doesn't matter. What else have we got? Turbo Stream. Cadbury's used to have steam engines back in the day, all gone now. I thought there was something about the Cadburys and the trains, so that doesn't surprise me. Digwell says, Chili Kate, we have a WhatsApp group, easier to manage, I believe. I get annoyed with WhatsApp myself. I don't have it because I just got annoyed with it. Too many messages coming in at once. Kate says, I would be very happy for a Cadbury train coming to my allotment. I'll be planning a great train heist. Yeah, chocolate. Yeah. Yeah, lovely, lovely, lovely. What else have we got? Digwell says the debris from the trains fed the plots. Yeah, all that wood ash and what have you. I keep our WhatsApp group strictly for allotment news. No personal messages, 2 strikes and kicked out the group for Chili Cane. There you go. All these great things for ideas. There we go. Rebecca says, yep, I want an allotment, but none in our village. Just more and more housing being built. It's so sad. See, I'm on the understanding in Littlehampton, and I could be wrong on this, but I'm on the understanding that in Littlehampton, when we build new housing estates, the developers have to build allotments as well. I know of several new housing estates that have popped up where allotments have also been added to. So I personally feel that should be part of the agreement that allotments get built as well as houses, doctors, dentists, etc., etc. Jim Im says these days they'll build on anything, wouldn't they? Just even floodplains. But we need houses. It's very difficult. We need houses. But I've known of land. It was an army barracks in Brighton that was empty for about 30 years. They've just started building on it, but 30 years it laid empty. Should have been building on there before. I learned to swim in Cadbury's swimming pool. Is that a chocolate-covered swimming pool? Such fantastic memories growing up. Summer evenings with the smell of chocolate in the air. Yeah, lovely. Absolutely lovely. Scott says, I found waiting lists for allotment when I was living in cities was long, but live in a rural area now and we have empty plots. Yep, I can believe that as well when it comes to allotments. In many cases, when I lived in somewhere a lot more rural, there was one allotment site in the whole village, but hardly anybody ever used it because the gardens were big enough or we had fields that we could use. Nowadays, not quite the same, but rurally, I don't think there's as much. But I know there are people who do live rural who want an allotment. I believe Rebecca is in quite rural. I thought a Cadbury swimming pool was full of chocolate. That's what I thought as well. I thought as soon as I read that. Digwell says, I was meaning more personal waste from the trains. I was trying to be polite. People were possibly eating their dinner, so I was trying to be polite. There are quite a few allotment sites in southwest Birmingham. I haven't heard of one being built on. That'd be interesting to find out, actually, how many allotment sites are actually being built on. Nicola managed to get a 10 by 8 metre chain length 6-inch fencing from a housing private development. None of the residents want the fencing as you drove onto the area. There we go. every cloud has a silver lining, as they say. Ballysillian wouldn't be so bad if the new houses had decent gardens. I completely agree with that. But if they get any closer, we'll be back to terrace housings. They pretty much are terraced housings already. This is a debate, isn't it? This is a debate about the new housing. The barracks were in use 30 years ago. I got very drunk on sangria when I was in the TA and my friend was posted there. It was about 23 would be 93. I know they were pretty much empty in the late 90s when I started working in Brighton, or certainly half of them was empty. But they've been empty for a very, very, very long time. They've only just started building on them now. And Turbo Stream and the Chocolate Factory. I've visited a few sites in the Shard area of Birmingham. Right. As I said, the grow along, I got confused when I was uploading the videos today. So I haven't got the deal grow along video to share with you, but I am, as I said, putting them out on the YouTube channel and Facebook page for how we do that. But this might be a good opportunity for everybody to share their tips on growing dill, which is a fantastic herb, absolutely beautiful herb. I use it a lot in cooking, goes well with fish, goes well in like pickled cucumbers as well, or gherkins you might want to call them. One of my favorite herbs. I actually once grew dill in a hanging basket and it grew really big and did really well in that. So if you're on clay soil like I have that isn't that well draining, then growing it in a hanging basket might be an option. Dill does like some pretty well draining soil. It needs lots of moisture, but well draining, doesn't like sitting in water. But please do share your dill tips, and we'll see if anybody dill growing tips, and see if anybody has got any tips on that. I'm a bit annoyed at myself for not uploading that video, to be honest, but you know what I mean. Now we do have we want it on that screen. We do have some photos to go through this week. As you know, I always like to share some of these photos that are being sent in. So first of all, Shipyard Gardener has been making these interesting cold frames. Now I can't quite work out what they're made from. Obviously glass or something involved, but the table football on top was a stroke of genius. What a great idea. Here they are from another view. Also like the cows and the sheep statues and the little things going on in the area as well. Excuse me. Next, Scott. You know, we've seen a lot from Scott tonight. This is his greenhouse that he has been building. Looks beautiful, doesn't it? A great idea. Something I really like to do myself now, seeing this. And these are also tracks that in the grass from his train tracks that we've seen and had a lot of fun thinking about. Now, Stuart Jackson and his veggie pod, we saw in his video, he's posted this. He loves his veggie pod, and I'm with him on that. It is such a great way to grow vegetables. He's also received, took over a week to get to him, but he's also received his seeds for this month from the Veg Grower Podcast Supporters Club. Details on that at the veggrowerpodcast.co.uk. Ginny has, she's popped in briefly at the beginning, but it's been busy or family round. Lots of seedlings going on. Again, these double cold frames inside, or these plastic grow houses holding on to the seedlings. Look brilliant, doesn't it? Lots going on in the polytunnel as well, which is always good to see. Digwell, hailstorm hit him the other day and his plants are covered in hail. But I think they'll be okay. I do think they will be okay. Hail can be annoying, but it doesn't seem to do much damage to plants in my experience. And here he is. He's had some... We've spoken about bad compost a lot in the past. and he's had a bag of compost that, as you can see, it's just a huge lump and not very good quality. This is something that we've been debating a lot and trying to work out what to do for the best. I think the answer is we need to make our own compost. Excuse me. Now, Katie Simpson emailed me over some pictures of her polytunnel as well. And again, lots going on in there. Lots of little plants, lots of little seedlings are showing themselves. She's also become the mother to this chick. What a beautiful looking bird, isn't it? Absolutely beautiful. I can't work out if that's a quail or a chicken, but it looks absolutely beautiful regardless. So please do keep sending those photos in. You can email me, richard@theveggiegroundpodcast.co.uk. Post them on our Facebook group or send them to me via social media. Please do keep posting those photos. They are always so well going on. Now, Nigel has just reminded me, Digwell Compost Trial now out on YouTube. Go watch it after this show. Yes, go and watch it. Again, this is the power that we have in social media, YouTube, podcasts. You know, we can show what happens with all these composts when we get bad compost. We had a good one a few weeks ago from Kate, who brought a bag of compost, and it was awful. I used the same company and the same packaging, and it wasn't as bad for me. But this is, you know, the power of social media is these companies will see these videos and they're worried about bad press, so they can take action. And I believe they need to know about it when things go wrong, as well as when things go good. So yeah, please do go and check out Digwell's video like that. Nigel says £10 for advertising that. Anna says, just been watching Digwell's compost video. Will be interesting to see which is best. I've got to admit, I'm doing a similar sort of thing with my potatoes, seeing which compost is going to grow the best. It's going to be interesting. I think we need to do more of these experiments quite regularly to work out what is going to be the best compost. I might do some more this year as well. Now, asking for people to share their tips. Dill self-seeds everywhere. One of the best companion plants ever. It does. It is a beautiful plant. I love dill, as I said. So many uses in the kitchen. It's beautiful flavour. It can grow for such a long time. It grows quite big as well, I found. But yeah. Digwell says, stop moaning about housing. If humans stopped breeding, we wouldn't need more houses. My kids and grandkids alone need 11 houses. I agree. I do agree. I don't know what the answer is at all. I don't know what the answer is. However, there was a time when it wasn't uncommon to have 3 generations of families in one house. And do we have to go back to that? This is a conversation. It's not really a gardening conversation, but unless it affects allotments, I guess. But yeah. Turbo Stream. If my big leaf mold pile works, then next year I will use it to start off seeds. Fingers crossed it works. Yeah, it's very good for that. I can never produce enough leaf mold for it to be worth my while, but it's meant to be very, very good at that. I think garden centres should grow seedlings plants in the compost they are standing. Yeah, I completely agree with that, Nicola. I believe that garden centres should be using the tools that they are selling as well. It's right down to the hose pipes. I know the hose pipes they generally sell are a lot thinner than what they use in the garden centre, but I think if they're going to be selling it, they should be using it. I think I've said this before. If I owned a garden centre, I would be selling or using the stuff that I sell, the spades, the forks, the hose pipes. How can you expect people to buy it if you're not prepared to use it myself? Graham says 15 different composts are on trial. Yeah, excellent. This is what we need to do. Go trial these things. Chili Cake says we have 2 new allotment sites built by 2 new housing sites, both completed over 2 years ago, and neither is yet available for use. Sounds like council politics. Such a shame. Chili, I am going to come to your allotment soon, actually, and have a look around. I know you're in down near Southampton, in the town I went to college in, so do go there occasionally, but I want to see how much it's changed from when I remember going there. Um, I'd fill that in. Digwell says to Nigel he'll buy him a pint at Malvern, and Nigel was saying he drinks a pint of whiskey. Graham Arnold, a pint of whiskey will cost you, Steve. You guys do make me laugh from time to time. Gary, is that Gary? Hi, Richard. Sorry, not kept up to date with your content for a while. Life has been tough. I'm catching with a podcast and jobs in the garden, but just wanted to say how much I have enjoyed seeing everyone's plots and photos tonight. Thanks for doing what you do, Richard, and thanks for everyone for contributing to this show. Now, Gary, thank you so much for that. That's really good. I hope you are okay, buddy. I wondered where you had gone. I hadn't seen you for a while, but yeah, it is good to see everyone's plots, isn't it? And it helps everyone get inspired and get inspiration for this coming season. So yeah, always good, always good. Turbo Stream says, actually, Nicola has a very good point. I went to a garden centre this week and there was so much choice of compost. I didn't buy any because I didn't know which to buy. I agree. I completely agree that there sometimes is a bit too much choice. I go into our local garden centre, and they've got veg compost in 3 different brands. They've got multi-purpose compost for 3 different brands, ericaceous compost for 3 different brands. But then on the other hand, there's nothing more annoying. I spent ages trying to find the Dalefoot compost because nowhere seemed to be selling it. We got there in the end. Where do you draw the line? And it's something else I think I've spoken before or asked about, where do people get compost from, and would you be prepared to pay delivery charge for compost to get it delivered to your house if you order it online? I don't believe many people are prepared to pay the delivery charge unless they're bulk buying, of course. Especially when I was looking at the different brands of compost that I couldn't buy locally. Dalefoot is a good example. The delivery charge made it not worth doing. Turbo Stream will be watching Digwell's video tonight, as well I. Ballysoon, our council gave us terrible compost one year. I filled a new raised bed with it, and before I topped up with good compost, I stuck leftover cauliflowers in it. Turned out the best I've ever grown. Isn't that always the way? The things that you're going to do the worst turns out to be the best. Nicola says, maybe when they open a bag of rubbish compost, they might make a complaint to the supplier and not have to wait for the customer to bring back compost. I would also argue that the compost manufacturer should be running some quality control a bit better. I use the example of Kate's with all that gravel that was in it. That shouldn't have been there. There's no way that should have been there, but they clearly were not checking the bags as they were being filled. Now, I don't know the first thing about how compost companies work, but for me, that was bad quality control first and foremost. Digwell says, I used to work for a nursery and make the compost for their seedlings. Not true anymore, as the nursery, garden centre / shopping mall has been taken over 3 times. Yeah, we know it's, I think the nursery and the garden centres are struggling to keep going. This is something we've discussed before, and I've discussed on other podcasts. Again, I feel the model is the thing that's wrong. I want to walk into a garden centre and be able to buy plants or be able to buy tools for the garden. I don't want to walk into you're going to get me on this, aren't you? But I don't want to walk into a garden centre, not be able to buy any spade or forks, but yet to be able to buy handbags. That really annoys me. really annoys me. Garden centre is not a handbag shop. I'm going to calm down because that gets me really, really annoyed. Nigel says, check with other plot holders who would be interested in multi-buy. See if you can get enough to buy a pallet of 85 bags. That's a good idea, actually, Nigel. Very good idea. That is a very good idea. Buying a big pallet. I mean, again, I was looking at the end of last year at buying a bulk buying compost, but I had nowhere to store it at the time. I might do it at the end of this year, bulk buy a load of compost just to use. That being said, I'm quite liking at the moment queer compost, depending on how well it performs at the end of the season, of course. I'm quite liking queer compost. So I could bulk buy some multi-purpose and queer compost to mix together, a bit of perlite and what have you. And that should keep us going for the next year. Hopefully. Digwell says, to clarify for anyone watching my compost video, the crappy mouldy stuff seems to be the norm for green waste bags left in the rain. Yeah, it's a difficult one because peat being banned, although I agree with the reasoning behind banning peat, you know, these companies have to, and they should have been doing this 10 years ago, because it was always going to happen. Trying to find the good alternatives and getting that quality control up there long before the ban came in. And, you know, I've just seen Nigel has made a very good point. I know a garden centre that has open bags of each compost to see the quality. Problem is, quality does vary from batch to batch. And this comes back to that compost that Kate showed a few weeks ago, where it was just full of absolute rubbish. And then I bought the same company, and it was no problem with it. I've used it for my potatoes, no problem with it. Batch to batch isn't as good either. So yeah, with you on that, completely with you on that. It's very difficult. It all boils back down to quality control. Turbo Stream says we need a subject list to avoid to stop Richard going off on one. I just don't I don't mind going off on one if I can formulate my thoughts in advance and get, like, not so much a script but an idea of what I want to say. Sometimes I hold back because I haven't thought through what I'm going to say thoroughly enough. The joys of going live, I've got to think on my feet, and when I want to get into the argument with garden centres, because I've got to be careful, I don't want to upset garden centres so much. And I want to be fair, but I do get annoyed with certain things, and I gotta weigh it out in balance. Does that make sense? Because again, this proves what I'm saying. Thinking on your feet sometimes is a tricky thing. Anyway, I tried with Bathgate, no joy, but that was I have seen, we got a company near us that actually do bulk, but it's the Garden Superstore is one of the companies, and there's another one, the Compost Company or something, I think it is. They do sell compost in bulk. I don't know how good quality. Well, the Garden Superstore actually sells different compost from different companies. I know that much. But the other one, it might be its own. I'm not sure. I will bring one to Malvern for you to try. I'm not sure what that is. Nicola says, I've been lucky to buy loose mushroom compost in bulk. Got lots of compost bins on the go and also building over the next few weeks. 2 times 4 bay pallet compost bins with a roof on. Can't wait. Lucky you. I mean, your farm down there is a very big farm, so I would be definitely building big compost bins, as big as we can get. The trouble when it comes to making our own compost at home is we cannot really get the compost bins big enough to get them hot enough to really get hot enough to kill off any weed seeds. So we have to be a little bit careful about it. But if you've got the space, build them as big as you can, and what have you. Turbo Streams, can you find out what compost garden centres use, Richard? Is there a trade brand they use? I will find out. I mean, I doubt garden centres would so much use compost. It'd be the nurseries more than anything. Garden centres generally, there's a few exceptions, of course. Generally, they buy plants in already potted up, unless they've got a nursery attached as well. I'm thinking of a couple. I'll find out. I will find out. That's a good question, actually. In fact, that might be a bit of a mission for everybody over this next week. If go to your local nursery and find out what brand of compost they use. Nigel says his local nursery uses Clover Professional. Nicholas says most garden centres buy implants these days. Yeah, but nurseries might be the place to ask. So, as a bit of a mission for everyone, let's go to our local nursery and find out what compost they use. Gives us a reason to go to a nursery, doesn't it? Toby Stream says, one reason I direct sow is to avoid the cost and problem of bagged compost. It's difficult, isn't it? Bagged compost is probably one of the most expensive things that the one thing that I spend the most money on, and it's something I'm trying to reduce as much as possible, but I've only got so much room to produce as much compost as possible. Right, guys, we are approaching the end of this week's show. So next week, as I said, I want to find out your stories of gardening with your grandparents. If you've got pictures or even videos or anything like that, it would be great to see that as well. So send those in to me. I think it's going to be a nice little subject, I think. Get the tugging at heartstrings and what have you. There will be a grow along video. I will pop the deal video out later this week. Next week, we're going to be sowing the beetroot. That was requested last week. And as I said, the homework, go to your local nursery and find out what brand of compost they use for their plants. So let's quickly finish off with some comments. Digwell says, my issue with mushroom compost is it's too high in pH for veggies unless it is stabilized and costs more. My issue with mushroom compost is I have a mushroom allergy and I don't want to take the risk of it affecting me, so I've avoided it at all costs. Nicholas says, I get crossed with all the rubbish, plastic and glass, etc. in compost. Completely aware. Turbo Stream says, that went quick. Have a great week, everyone. It's gone quick tonight, hasn't it? It's been a good one, though. Thank you. Gary says, thanks, everyone. Nigel says, I've done my homework, sir. Indeed, you have. Nicholas says, thanks, Richard. Anna says, thanks for all the great plot tours, everyone. Indeed, thank you to everybody that did send in a video. If anybody else does want to send in a video, please do. We can always show it next week. I always love seeing the videos. Thank you to, I've got to remember everybody that did a video. Thank you to Stuart Jackson. Thank you to Turbo Stream. Thank you to Digwell. Thank you to Scott. And thank you to, there was one more, wasn't there? And or was there? Oh, it was me. I was the other one, wasn't it? Or was there one more as well? Let me come and remind yourself. Oh, Ballycillion, that was the other one. Sorry, guys. Ballycillion, the beautiful plot there indeed. Right, guys, I am going to clear this up and get out of here. We'll be back again next Sunday at 6. So have fun in your garden. You take care. I'll see you again next time.